Hello and welcome. So today we're going on a bit of a treasure hunt. We're on the lookout for the UK's constitution. Now that sounds pretty simple, right? Well, as we're about to find out, it's actually one of the most fascinating puzzles in the entire world of public law. So let's just dive right in with the big question. Where can you actually find the UK's constitution? I mean, if I asked you to go and grab me a copy right now, where would you even start looking? And here's our very first clue. You see, unlike something like the famous US Constitution, which you can literally buy a copy of and hold in your hand, there isn't one single official book for the UK. And that simple fact right there is the key to this whole explainer.
Okay, so to really solve this puzzle, we first need to get on the same page about what we're even looking for. What is a constitution anyway?
Well, at its very core, a constitution is just a rule book. It sets out the fundamental way something is run. And it's not just for countries, even a company has a constitution that outlines its basic rules. But for a state, that rulebook is absolutely crucial. It defines how the government works and the relationship it has with its people. Now, when we talk about countries, these rulebooks generally come in two main flavors. And this difference between codified and uncodified is exactly what we need to understand to solve the mystery of the UK's missing document. And here's that key difference laid out perfectly. On one side, you've got a codified constitution, like the one in the US. It's all written down in one single authoritative document. But on the other side, you have the uncodified model, like the UK's, where all the rules are spread out across a whole bunch of different sources instead of being in just one place. So this is where we have to be really careful, because this is the most common mistake people make. Because the UK's constitution isn't in one neat little book, a lot of people jump to a completely wrong conclusion about it. And this is the aha moment. Uncodified does not mean unwritten. This is the single most important myth we need to bust. Just because all the rules aren't collected or codified into one text doesn't mean the rules don't exist in writing. Not at all. In fact, huge parts of the UK Constitution are written down. They're scattered all over the place. You can find them in Acts of Parliament, which are just the laws passed by politicians. You can find them in the common law, which are the unwritten decisions from judges that have built up over centuries. And you've also got constitutional conventions, which are these long-standing traditions that pretty much everyone agrees to follow. So now you can really see why it's called uncodified. It's not that it's unwritten. It's just not all gathered together in one spot. To read the entire UK Constitution, you wouldn't grab a pamphlet. You would literally need a massive library to house all of those separate laws, court cases, and historical documents. All right, so now that we've kind of figured out where to find this giant, sprawling collection of rules, let's talk about what it actually does. How does this library of a constitution work in the real world? Essentially, it's the roadmap for running the entire country. First, it lays down these core principles, like parliamentary sovereignty, which is the powerful idea that Parliament is the top legal authority, and the rule of law, which means everyone, the government included, has to follow the law. Second, it defines our key institutions, Parliament, the government, and the courts. And finally, it governs that super important relationship between the state and its people, protecting our fundamental human rights. So, we found it, the UK's constitution. It was hiding in plain sight, scattered across centuries of laws and history. And this leaves us with a really fascinating final question to think about. A system like this is incredibly flexible. It can change with the times without some huge political battle to amend it. But does that flexibility come at a cost? Is it better to have a system that can adapt easily, or one that's set in stone, protected from short-term political moods? That, right there, is the big debate at the very heart of the UK's unique constitutional story.